Hello and welcome. It's the Guardian Film Show attempting once again to cram 4 movies and an entire lifespan into one manageable 20-minute spell. This week we're heading from youthful misadventures to adult heroism to pension worries and then finally, inevitably, to death. It's almost as if the schedule is trying to tell us something.
Here's a situation.
Mrs. O'Dwyer was abducted.
Coming up on this week's show, Kurt Russell battles savage, godless cannibals in Bone Tomahawk.
I've never asked for special treatment. I'm only asking for equality.
Julianne Moore and Ellen Page fight for their rights in Freeheld. And Tim Roth brings out the dead in the end-of-life drama Chronic.
Unbearable.
But we begin on an altogether more boisterous note. Now, regular viewers will know that on this show, our passion for great cinema is equalled only by our passion for single ladies. And on those rare occasions when an enterprising filmmaker is somehow able to combine these two elements, well, then it's like a little trip to heaven.
Let me teach you how to be single. Go get us some drinks.
Okay.
No, you don't buy the drinks. Boys buy the drinks.
Okay.
Not with this wallet.
Okay.
With the sausage wallet.
Dakota Johnson, Leslie Mann, Alison Brie and Rebel Wilson are footloose singletons at large in New York. Some like the lifestyle. Others do not like the lifestyle. But together, they come to show the world how to be single.
Step 1.
That stuff is for babies.
Babies with hangovers. Are we good? Payment accepted. Let's go.
Joined on the couch by Benjamin Lee and the Marvell that is Catherine Shoard. Catherine, there was a rumour going around the office that you were once single. Was it a bit like that?
It's a false rumour because I've actually very rarely been single. Not in a
Don't
braggy way.
surprise me.
I really enjoyed this film, I confess, partly because perhaps it was giving me this little vicarious insight into these ladies. I thought it was fun. I thought that Dakota Johnson was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of interestingly progressive in a variety of ways. I like the fact that you don't. It doesn't necessarily resolve by not being single. Although I did dislike the fact that when she's sort of getting to know herself as a single lady, she has to read The Bell Jar and Wild, which seemed a bit too...
On the nose.
Yeah, and I had issues with its sort of claims for realism, whilst also sort of having Leslie Mann at 43 pretty much immediately getting pregnant, no problems with a sperm donor, which I thought was perhaps not quite right.
She was good in it as well, though, was Leslie
No,
Mann.
I find her
No? I
endlessly
thought she was
annoying,
okay.
actually. No, she wasn't. I mean, maybe
I'm wrong.
she is, yeah, sorry. But maybe on her own terms she is. But
Rebel
no,
Wilson annoyed me. You're going to disagree there?
Yeah.
You
I
like
like
Rebel
her.
Wilson?
Yeah, I
Wow,
really like
we're
her.
really at odds this
Yeah.
week.
What are you doing? Stop.
What is that?
Stop. Oh my god, I thought that was gonna be boiling hot. It's actually really cold.
You have LTRP.
Oh my god, I do?
Yeah.
Tom gave it to me. For sure. Wait, what's LTRP?
Long-term relationship. You really need to get that taken care of.
What do you mean? I barely have any hair.
It's like you dropped your hairbrush and your vagina caught it. I could make dreadlocks with that bush and form a reggae band. It looks like a whole bowl of petrified curly fries. It's like Gandalf is staring right at me. No penis shall pass!
Even though it's not a game changer, I think that there are some progressive things going on in the film still. Because last year, Trainwreck kind of promised to be progressive and ultimately had Amy Schumer sort of begging someone to be with her, changing and putting on a fucking cheerleading routine to impress him. Whereas in How to Be Single, I think it's okay to be single. And so often Hollywood tells us that if you're a single woman especially, that you're kind of pathetic and you should be surrounded by cats. And in this film, it's okay.
And it's not just okay, it's better to be
better,
single.
yeah.
That's the crucial thing. It's much better to be single than to be with one of the people that you don't want to be with.
And
But
there's
better
no
only in the moment, though. There's always the suggestion that Mr. Right is sort of around the next corner.
But I think it kind of says it's okay either way. Like you'll be fine if you sort yourself out, and then if it happens, it happens. Rebel Wilson's character is single throughout, and there's no dark reason why she's single. There's no one who's hurt her.
She's a bit pathetic, though, isn't she? Don't you think?
Quite
I
liked
thought
her.
quite liked her. I thought she was kind of in control and in charge of it. I didn't think it was pathetic at all. I thought it was kind of okay. And there's also, her weight is never mentioned. And in every film she's been in, she was called Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect, and that's been a joke made about her. There's also an interracial relationship, and the fact that he's black is never mentioned. And it sounds like
two interracial
two, yeah.
relationships.
And it sounds like small things, but in this genre, which those are quite big things, I think, to kind of to brag about for the film, which isn't perfect, but I think it's quite entertaining.
I think it was nearly very good,
Yeah.
actually, and it wasn't very good. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't very good, which was a shame because it felt like it had the potential. And I did think Dakota Johnson actually brought genuine sort of moving moments to it. There's one bit where she's having some pancakes and gets some bad news, and you genuinely felt for her, and near the end there was a few moments. I thought they ladled on the voiceover in a slightly Sex and the City way at the end, very weirdly, to sort of paper everything.
Yeah, well, they're moving a lot of pieces around, aren't they? They've got this kind of ensemble cast that they're having to kind of move around like pawns on a chessboard.
And it's not always skillful. Alison Brie's character is kind of odd. She just spends all of her time in this bar on OkCupid. And what is bad about the film, actually, is that she's painted as this kind of stalker character because she gets too interested in guys too quickly and makes picture books, whereas Leslie Mann's love interest is arguably as intense as she is, but it's a guy, so it's kind of like it's kind of okay.
It's cute.
Even though he turns up to Leslie Mann's apartment with a Christmas tree.
When she's just told him
yeah,
to fuck off.
it's creepy. So that's kind of wrong about the film, and you're right. I think it doesn't do a perfect job, but I think in this genre it kind of deserves plaudits for doing something at least in the right direction.
The new guy has sort of been checking you out.
Which one?
He's... Did you get it?
No.
All right. He's like... right over there.
No. No.
Why?
Because he's too young. All young guys want to do is have sex all day. All I need is just a quick 10 minutes and then a really long nap. How old is that little niblet anyway?
Like 27?
The only reason a guy like that would ever talk to me is to get a prescription for medical marijuana. So, no.
I think he's coming over there. Yeah, no, he's totally going. Wait, he might be going to the food. Don't look over there. No, he's coming. He's here.
Raise a glass to the single ladies of How to Be Single. We now move from the savage hunting grounds of Manhattan to the savage hunting grounds of the Western Territories, where the natives are hungry and the settlers are just an exotic side dish. This is Bone Tomahawk.
Mr. O'Dwyer, I need to say this to you, and I don't want you to get sore. We're making a 5-day journey in 3 days, riding along and sleeping the bare minimum. We need to take care of these animals and ourselves.
I ain't thinking about myself right now.
I know you're not, which is why I'm putting this to you direct. If our horses die before we get there, or we go into hostile territory, weak and foggy with exhaustion, we won't rescue anybody. The only advantage we have over these cave dwellers is being smarter. So let's not lose that.
Here comes Sheriff Kurt Russell. He's leading a posse deep into the wilderness to the Valley of the Starving Men. Up ahead are a bunch of evil, inhuman Native American cannibals. And it's safe to assume that not all of our heroes are going to make it out alive.
We'll make sure all this has value.
Ben, it's like Dances with Wolves never happened, isn't it? They're just savage and horrible.
Yeah, this is one of the grimmest westerns I've ever seen, really. It's kind of come at quite a good time for the western too, with The Revenant arguably being a western and The Hateful Eight kind of being a western.
Yeah.
It's almost like Kurt Russell kind of walked off set of The Hateful Eight and came onto this one, because he's wearing the exact same outfit.
So they've got a kind of 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah, I actually prefer this to The Hateful Eight.
Same here.
The Hateful Eight is a lot more pretentious, whereas this kind of knows what it is. Or at least you think it does for a while, and it kind of starts off as a western. It's kind of comic at times, and then becomes a kind of full-blown horror by the end, and does all of them really well. It's come with relatively little buzz. It had 2 Independent Spirit nominations, I think, for Best Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor. Richard Jenkins, who I think is great in the film. The whole cast is, I think...
Patrick Wilson's very good as the sort of crippled cowboy.
Don't you talk that way about my wife. I know you had designs.
That was years ago. And she refused me. And now I'm out here risking my life for the both of you. Perhaps that entitles me to an occasional innuendo.
Well, it doesn't. She is my whole everything, and those savages have got her, and God knows what they're doing to her. And in every second that we delay,
Remove yourself.
It's really gruesome too. There's one particular death scene which I think is one of the most disgusting scenes I've seen for a long time. But I thought it was a really solid, entertaining film. Like a midnight movie you kind of stumble across.
Yeah.
and are surprisingly compelled by, and you watch till the end.
Or it's like listening to an old kind of ghost story around a campfire, that it's very loquacious. It kind of has lots of little detours, and it's basically a B movie, so you think it should be 90 minutes, but it's over 2 hours. And yet that kind of works. It adds to the texture. It's got this kind of gamey flavour to it.
Yeah, and for a B movie too, there's nice little character details too. There's a nice little flea circus speech of Rich Jenkins at the end, which is a great kind of awards moment, and everyone gets to do more than you think they're going to do. I was really pleasantly surprised by it.
Catherine, after the horror of the first film, I'm trying to avoid stereotypes. So I'm guessing this was like right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it just reminded me of my childhood, actually.
And being single.
Yeah. Yes, it was very grisly. No, I like this. This is a good film, obviously, and it's like Slow West. It's one of these under-the-radar westerns.
It's got the same sort of texture as Slow West as well.
It does, a bit more gamey. I mean, it makes Slow West look cliched and sentimental, which it isn't. But it's, it is sort of a palate cleanser, in fact, certainly after Hateful Eight. No, this is terrific. And that scene, the death scene, it will stay with me until my own dying day, which hopefully will be different. No, I thought this was great, really good.
And assuming you want to lead a long, healthy life, I guess the message is avoid Native Americans at all costs.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. No, it was very refreshing to see a film be so riotously un-PC about a group of people.
They're not soulful people here, are they?
They're efficient, though. They're efficient.
Why they always wet themselves?
Just get on with the task.
They got bucks.
Well, shake them out. See if money comes out the pages.
It won't be in the table of contents.
Save them jokes that nobody likes for the campfire. You didn't cut him deep enough.
He had a lot of blood, an unusual amount.
That's the same as every other. Help me up. There are 16 major veins in the neck, and you have to cut through them all.
Director S. Craig Zala providing some red meat for the table with his Bone Tomahawk. We now move from the tall tale to the true story of Freeheld, in which Julianne Moore and Ellen Page battle the forces of institutionalized bigotry, although happily they have a secret weapon in the form of Steve Carell.
Hey, can I have your number? Hello? It's Stacy from volleyball. Listen, I can't talk right now.
Yeah, go right ahead. Just your run-of-the-mill double homicide investigation.
Shut up. Can I call you later?
You got a date?
Yeah, I do. Give me a second.
Having battled sexism and foiled criminals, New Jersey cop Laurel Hester now faces an uphill struggle against stage 4 cancer. All she wants is for her widow's pension to be paid to her partner Stacy. But the cops are outraged and the town elders say no. And this fight for justice is going right down to the wire.
If they say yes, then my tax dollars go to her girlfriend. Yeah, the same way your wife gets your pension if you die. Yeah, but she's my wife.
Hell, if you and I got married tomorrow, I'd be entitled to your benefits.
Is that a proposal?
Oh, my God.
Catherine, holy moly, this was a bad film.
It was very bad, wasn't it? It was strikingly bad. And I suppose this does sort of prove the wisdom of why someone like Ellen Page would be nervous about coming out, because then you might get pigeonholed into roles like this. And it doesn't mean they're going to be good. And this is the least convincing couple I've ever seen on screen by some distance. They're just wildly unconvincing. There's no chemistry whatsoever. If you look at the documentary that this is based on, it's moving, and they're a real people, and they're a real couple. And I mean, there is a problem that the sort of meat and potatoes of this is a logistical pensions battle that's quite dull. But it's about a couple who are fighting bigotry and one of them's dying. You know, it ought to be really, really moving. It's the opposite of that. It's absolutely dreadful.
This is an outrageous miscarriage of justice. Their next meeting, we show up with 100 protesters.
Radicals and strangers from New York aren't going to convince these guys.
I am not a radical. I'm a middle-class Jewish homosexual from New Jersey. How about you, sweetheart?
I'm a straight, white, ex-Protestant, atheist cop. You okay with that, sweetheart?
I am. That is very hot.
You've got Steve Carell playing I believe the name, he's playing a gay.
Yeah, he's playing the campest gay man I think I've ever seen. They try and add some comedy to an incredibly dull story, and it fails miserably, and it's actually incredibly offensive instead. It's just everything about
shocking.
Everything about the film is just massively.
It's like an hour in, and he comes on with a Yumelka saying, "I'm a big, loud, gay Jew."
Yeah.
And it's the most sort of astonishing, vain, idiotic performance.
And apparently the real guy wasn't even that flamboyant at all. So it just speaks to the complete ludicrousy of the film. Like Catherine was saying, the chemistry is not there at all. Whenever they kiss, you kind of feel that as soon as they say cut, both of them are like, ugh, because like it just there's no passion to the film at all. And I'm sure as a documentary it would have worked better because the implication of what it means is really important. But the actual logistics of it incredibly dull. They're not courtroom scenes; they're sort of large room scenes where they talk about things.
I kept looking at all the extras who were kind of doing frowning and then cheering. It was really embarrassing.
Even Julianne Moore's bad though.
Yes, she is.
Which is there's the point where she lifts her gun up and it's like, you stop right there, buddy. Like everything about it's so stiff. And after Still Alice as well, it was kind of touted as this another Oscar win potentially for her, and coming in a year of really important LGBT films. But that year had Stonewall and Danish Girl and this. It's like great.
Congratulations on the job. Thanks. I'm gonna make a contribution to the mortgage every month.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, I do.
I kind of like the idea of you as a kept woman. Sexy.
Kind of makes you feel like you're in charge, huh?
Oh, I know I'm not in charge of you, sweetie. It's impossible.
It doesn't stop you from trying.
Oh, God.
What's the matter?
Oh, I think I pulled a muscle.
Yeah. How long have you had that?
A couple weeks.
A couple weeks?
Yeah.
Well, you get it checked out?
Yeah.
This week?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
I will. Don't look so worried. I pulled a muscle on the job. I'm a cop. That's what happens.
You're a superhero.
It felt like there were sort of various people fighting for the controls of the film. That it starts out and it's like a kind of tender lesbian romance. Then it becomes like this sort of tough women cop thriller. And then it becomes a sort of disease of the week movie.
Yeah, and none of them good.
They'd changed the couple to be more, again, straight friendly, I guess. So you know, to kind of appeal to a wider audience, but none of it worked. Clearly,
Yeah,
but.
and it just makes it incongruous. The fact that it makes much more sense when you see the real couple. You just think, oh yes, that's the story I could see. I mean, it's really worth looking up that short documentary online and reading about it.
Why did the cast do it? 'Cause it's a decent cast now. You've got Michael Shannon as well, and all of them are kind of cast adrift.
I mean, you can see why Ellen Page would have done it, you know, and it's a really honourable thing, and it's just such a shame that after coming out in that way, you know, being really brave, and then this film is what honours that to some extent. It's a real shame that those two things are so intermeshed. Julianne Moore would have done it. I don't know why.
It's well intentioned though, the film at least. Like it's
it's
earnest, and I can see why they would have thought on paper, especially because there are so few films about lesbian romance. You know, I think Carol is the first film for a long time that's actually broken out. And you can imagine why they might have thought this was a good idea to actually make. So it's earnest, at least, I'll give it that.
I hate speaking in public. I really hate it. And I never really cared about this whole pension thing. I never understood why it was so important to Laurel. But now I think I get it. We're just average people. We have a house and a dog and we pay our taxes. And we're not perfect. I mean, we have our differences and our disagreements. I love motorcycles and she hates them. You know, our house, it isn't fancy. It was a labor of love, you know, working on it and renovating it, and Laurel put a lot of thought into every detail, you know, the light fixtures and the tile. And we worked so hard on it because we thought we were gonna live in it forever. But I guess that's not gonna happen.
Julianne Moore and Ellen Page doing their damnedest with Freeheld. And so, inevitably, time marches on, and it brings us to the last film of the week. Pallbearers at the ready. This is Chronic.
1,
you always go to your patients' funerals?
Sometimes, yes.
Well, I just want to ask you a couple of questions about my aunt.
I'm sorry.
If you're sick, disabled, or God forbid dying, what you really need is Dave, a stoical home care nurse who alights in your house like a sad and sensitive priest. Dave is good at his job. He brings comfort to the afflicted, and yet Dave, it turns out, has issues of his own. Something terrible is coming. It may well be death.
You watch a movie?
That's art.
Ben, in recent years we've seen Tim Roth as Sepp Blatter and as Prince Rainier, but I think I like him better as Dave.
Yeah, me too, especially after The Hateful Eight, where he was
probably bad in
at
that.
a career worst. It was sort of like a bankrupt man's impression of Christoph Waltz.
It was, yeah.
This he was really good in, and I think it's a difficult film to really to anchor. And you see him in his day-to-day work. He's kind of going in and out of houses, giving showers, and the film shows you the kind of the dull nature of his job, but he makes it really fascinating. You're never quite sure what his intentions are, if he's selfless or sociopathic, and the film has this kind of Haneke-esque focus on what he's doing.
There's a kind of vampiric quality to him, that he's sort of absorbing the lives of these people.
Yeah, and he tells these odd lies in different moments too, and you find yourself making a kind of a note of what he's doing and what he might be doing. While the film ultimately, I think, near the end, it takes this big gamble. It didn't really work for me, but I'm still kind of haunted by the film. There's something about it which is quite fascinating, and I think also just showing how devastating illness can be.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it shown in this way before. I think the kind of the difficulties and how horrible it is. It doesn't glamorise it at all.
And the tenderness involved in caring for those people as well.
Without being sentimental too. I think there's a lot to like about this film too, but the ending didn't really work for me, I don't think.
It is a strange film, but it's a film that it's a series of vignettes, really, but it forces you to kind of lean in and pay attention, doesn't it?
It does, and it does break new ground in terms of giving you that insight. And I mean, there's the guy that is the sort of centerpiece of it has this relationship with this guy who's, I think, had a stroke, and he has the carer, Tim Roth's character, has a difficult relationship with this guy's family, who are both jealous and wary and nervous and paranoid and stuff, and nice as well and normal.
But also dependent, crucially, because he's doing the job that they really can't be asked to do.
It's not. I think it's not just can't be asked. It's that he has got certain skills that this guy is quite ill. Too harsh on. But it is. I think I've never seen it represented on film before. That contract being broken in such an interesting way, and that the tensions involved between a carer and the children of the person being cared for, that's really, really fascinating and just really revolutionary. I mean, in Cannes, this was sort of well received throughout.
It was in competition, in the main competition.
It was, yeah, and it didn't go anywhere. But it was one of the more interesting films at Cannes, in fact. But then the ending, which I know we mustn't give away, really, really turned people against it. It just was completely kiboshed by the ending.
I kind of like the ending.
I like the ending, yeah.
Ben?
I'm torn by it still. It's one of those films that I almost want to go back and watch it again, almost knowing the ending, know what's going to happen, because the ending comes so left field, and I can't tell if it's brave or if they just thought, I don't know what to do, we'll do this instead, because I've seen that sort of scene in many films before, treated with that same, I don't want to talk about it, but it's still a film that I want to keep processing, which means that I'm interested by it, especially given that the past few weeks have been full of a lot of films which I don't want to process for very long, but it's interesting.
When did you get back?
2 days ago.
Are you staying? Do you think of him?
I'm not doing it anymore. If you care for me, then help me. If you helped your son, why not?
That's Michelle Franco's Chronic, putting the show to bed. Join us next week for the swan song edition of the Guardian Film Show, followed by a special Oscar preview, which is being taped live at London's Picture House Central. In the meantime, thanks to Ben and to Catherine. As always, as ever, thanks to you for watching.